the federal administration mentioned already in Washington, but especially given the wrestle over the state budget and our local projected budget deficits. This is why sustained engagement with the citizens most directly impacted is necessary. And I urge each candidate to keep in mind the importance of each story in this room and within our great county, especially for those young people who are not only staring down the barrel of great changes to the blueprint for Maryland's future, but are the next generation of leaders. With that said, I greatly appreciate the NAACP's invitation and the opportunity to share a few opening thoughts. I anticipate the opportunity to hear directly from the candidates, and I'll no longer hold myself or you up from this important dialogue. So I leave you with this. Ask the questions not only for those who are in the room, but for those who aren't. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless Prince George's County.
I told you he was amazing. So now we get down to business. We have two moderators here today. And the first up is Ms. Pat Lawson Muse, who is an Emmy Award-winning former news anchor with NBC4 TV in Washington, D.C., where she spent nearly 41 years before retiring in March of 2023. She's an Emmy Award-winning journalist whose accomplishments include the prestigious Board of Governors Award by the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. Her Emmys include several for news anchoring and multiple Emmy nominations for news reporting. In November of 23, Ms. Muse received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Washington Association of Black Journalists. She's been honored by the U.S. House of Representatives as Maryland Congressman Jamie Raskin's Hero of the Week for her outstanding career in local television news and community service. She was also presented citations by Governor Wes Moore, the Maryland State Senate, the Maryland House of Delegates, and the Prince George's County State's Attorney. Pat Lawson Muse is a magna cum laude graduate of Howard University, ain't you? Where she earned a degree in broadcast management and radio production. She's a native of Las Vegas, Nevada, and lives in Prince George's County with her husband, Maryland State Senator Anthony Muse. Next, we have the esteemed Clayton Jackson, affectionately known as CJ. He chairs the Next Gen and Political Engagement Committees of the Prince George's County branch of the NAACP. He currently works in the Executive Office of the Comptroller of Maryland. CJ previously served as the Chief of Staff of Senator Obie Patterson, and Ron Watson, working for the constituents of Legislative Districts 26 and 27, respectively. And then as Senior Advisor to Delegate Marvin Holmes, Jr., also of the 23rd Legislative District. CJ has worked on many projects in several policy areas to the benefit of Prince Georgians. In addition to overseeing the day-to-day operations, while in these offices, he received a Maryland State citation from Senator Patterson for his work serving the constituents of the 26th District. Before joining the legislature, CJ served 18 years in law enforcement, serving the state of Maryland and the District of Columbia. CJ holds a Juris Master's from the University of Maryland Carey School of Law in Homeland Security Law and Crisis Emergency Management Law, a Master's in Public Administration from Bowie State University, and a Bachelor's in Criminal Justice and Political Science from Coppin State University. He is the Vice President of a 501c6 nonprofit, and he currently resides in Oxon Hill, Maryland. CJ? Okay, so from now the moderators will take it. We'll get into the questions.
Thank you, Sheila. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all of the candidates. Welcome to all of you who joined us for this forum for candidates running in Prince George's County's upcoming special primary election to choose the next county executive. I'm with Omari, We cannot afford apathy in this race or any other. Clayt?
And I'm Clayt Jackson. We'll be your moderators for this important discussion. This morning, we had the privilege of hearing directly from several of our county executive candidates as they share their vision, policies, and plans for the future. We want you to know that 12 candidates were invited to take part in this forum. 2 of them have withdrawn from the race recently, and the others did not reply to our invitation.
This forum is an opportunity for you, the voters here in Ebenezer, to assess where each candidate stands on the issues that matter most to our community and our county. The forum is being live streamed this morning on YouTube and on Ebenezer AME's website. That's ebenezerame.org. And before we begin, here are just a few guidelines for this morning's forum. Each candidate will have a maximum of 2 minutes to respond to each question, plus an additional 20 seconds for follow-up answers at the discretion of the moderators. Candidates will not have an opportunity to rebut any implicit or direct claim about their record or position.
However, during their allotted time to answer a specific question, they may respond to any statement they feel was directed toward them or their record. Candidates are expected to adhere to the allotted time, which will be enforced by a digital timer, or when the moderator says, "Candidate, your time has expired."
We're asking all participants to be respectful and to keep the discussion constructive. We want to focus today on the issues and not on personal attacks. The candidates are seated in alphabetical order, and the questions will be asked in rotating order, beginning at the end of the seated panel. To our audience, we appreciate your engagement and your attendance today and your interest in this democratic process, and we're asking that you also remain respectful and refrain from disruptions. Please hold your applause until all of the candidates have been introduced, and please hold your applause until the end of each round. And with that, let's introduce our candidates. Rashern Baker served as Prince George's County Executive from 2010 to 2018. Since leaving office, Mr. Baker has led the Baker Strategy Group. He's taught at Bowie State University and the University of Maryland Global Campus. He serves on several boards, including the University of Maryland Medical System and the Alzheimer's Association. Mr. Baker holds an honorary doctorate from Howard University and received a Bison Breaking Barriers Award in 2024. Aisha Braveboy is currently serving her 2nd term as Prince George's County State's Attorney. Her service to the county includes working in the executive branch and as a state delegate from 2007 until 2015, representing Maryland's 25th legislative district. She was a founding board member of the Multicultural Alliance of Prince George's County and vice president of the Ernest Everett Just Foundation. Ms. Braveboy was born in Washington, D.C., attended Largo High School, the University of Maryland College Park, where she was a member of Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, and she holds a law degree from Howard University. Marcellus Cruz is a small business owner and has been managing director of Cruising Technologies since 2009. His business, headquartered in Capitol Heights, Maryland, combines technological expertise with, he says, a heart for service. He is a certified A+ technician, application master, and network administrator specializing in cybersecurity and online data processing. Mr. Cruz was honored with the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award for service. He attended Pine Forge Academy, Oakwood University, and Washington Adventist University in Tacoma Park. He's called Maryland home for the past 38 years and now lives in Upper Marlboro. Calvin Hawkins. The Honorable Calvin Hawkins is an at-large member of the Prince George's County Council and a former council chair. For more than 30 years, Mr. Hawkins devoted himself to civic and philanthropic work, local government, and public service. In 2018, Mr. Hawkins was elected to one of the council's 2 at-large seats. By 2020, he was elected council chair, a role he was re-elected to in 2022. Mr. Hawkins considers himself a citizen's advocate with a heart for the underdog, for racial equality and financial equity. He grew up in Glass Manor, a community in Oxon Hill, Maryland, and he attended Bowie State University, where he was a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Sweat is an attorney with close to 30 years of experience in federal banking and finance law, complex civil and criminal litigation, and service as a judge advocate in the United States Air Force. She is a small business owner who is managing director of Sweatism Consulting, LLC. Mrs. Sweat is a wife, a mother, and educator in Prince George's County Schools, a graduate of the University of South Carolina, where she pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in computer science, a law degree from the University of South Carolina School of Law, and an MBA from the University of Maryland Global Campus. Senator Alonzo Washington is a Maryland State Senator representing the Legislative District 22. He served as a member of the House of Delegates from 2012 until 2023. He is former Vice Chair of the Ways and Means Committee, Chair of the Education Subcommittee, Deputy Majority Whip, First Vice Chair of the Prince George's County House Delegation, Chair of the House Elections Law Subcommittee, Chair of the Prince George's County Education Committee, and Chair of the Law Enforcement Committee. Senator Washington was born in Washington, D.C., attended Laurel High School and the University of Maryland College Park, where he earned a BA in Criminal Justice and Criminology. He is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity.
Again, welcome to you all. Our first question this morning goes to all of the candidates, beginning with former County Executive Rashawn Baker. Earlier this year, the former County Executive Angela Alston-Brooks proposed freezing more than 800 county positions, cutting agency budgets, and drawing down rainy day funds to fix a projected $170 million budget shortfall for the 2025 fiscal year. Do you agree with the proposal? And if not, how do you propose closing Prince George's County's deficit?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. As county executive, I faced that same problem when I took over in 2010, that we had a $150 million budget deficit. And so the way that you close the budget deficit exactly is freezing the positions. But what we have to do is fund our priorities. So as county executive, what I did and what I would do is fund the most important things to us in the county. That's public education, and that's the police department and the fire department, our public safety. Because without that, we're not going to attract businesses here. The only way you're going to sustain the county and create the budget that we need is by growing our commercial tax base. And we haven't done that. Over the last 6 years, we've seen our economy stagnant. So we don't have any other resources coming into the county but property taxes. What we did was take the rainy day fund and actually put it into our economic development incentive fund, our $50 million incentive fund that we used like the Biden administration with their Buy Back Better. We actually invested in businesses that were hiring more people, expanding our tax base. That way we had sustainability over the long run. That's why you saw that happen in my time as county executive. That's what I would do. I would look at where we're investing first and how do we actually grow the economy. That is the only way we're going to get out of what we are in now. And that's why experience having done this is so important, because you only have 17 months in this position. That's really what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. 17 months to deal with all of these problems. So you don't have time to learn on the job. You need to know what you're doing the day that you take office, or actually on March 4th. That's what I bring to the table, the ability to deal with these questions and to solve them. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is a critical question because we must maintain our AAA bond rating. It is very important that we continue to be looked at as creditworthy in the bond market, because that's what helps us to borrow money at the lowest possible interest rate to build schools, roads, and other infrastructure for our community. And so handling the budget is important. Currently, I manage a multi-million-dollar budget in this current county government. So I understand the issues that the county is facing right now. So freezing positions is one way to slow spending. However, across the board freezes is not necessarily the answer. We have to ensure that those agencies that are critical to our government have committed government employees who have a stake in the future of government operations. And I'll give you an example. Currently, we have contract employees working in DPI, which is a critical agency to the county in terms of enforcement of our county codes, as well as the growth and opening of county businesses. We need to ensure that these critical positions are filled with people who have expertise and a commitment to county government. But we have to obviously raise revenues, and how do we do that? Well, I have experience working with our legislature, having been a legislator, working with this governor who is looking at creative ways of raising revenues at the state level. So we have to work with our legislature, work with our governor, and as I have done, go to work with our federal partners. I have received earmarks for my office to do innovative things like create a digital discovery unit, and just recently, last year, a truancy reduction program was funded at the federal level. Thank you.
Mr. Cruz.
Thank you for the question. The way I come at this is, yes, we have to take care of our most important parts of the budget, which is education. That's number one for me. If you've ever heard me talk, I'm always talking about education. Second is our first responders. We need that to be paid for. But Baker's right. We have not been growing. I'm a small business owner. I do work across the county. I'm in over 6,000 homes. I am a state vendor. The point I'm making is it is time for growth. It is time for workforce development to actually connect with our education in a way that we've never seen before. When I look at where we are, a lot of people have a lot of fear, but I'm a little excited. Why? Because we can steer some true growth for this county that we have not done. It is time for our sixth graders, starting at sixth grade, to start getting certifications and apprenticeships and bringing all of our businesses. We have the largest registered small businesses of any county. Did you know that? All of our businesses want to help with workforce development. We can bring them to K through 12. We can bring them to job workforce and use certification education. That's how we get a lot of our adults retrained and into new jobs. I'm a job creator. Last year we had over 150,000 jobs not filled. It is time that we get to work. Thank you.
Could you please ask that question one more time, please?
Certainly. Earlier this year, County Executive Angela Alterbrooks proposed freezing more than 800 county positions, cutting agency budgets, and drawing down rainy day funds to fix a projected $170 million budget shortfall for this fiscal year. Do you agree with that proposal? And if not, how do you propose closing Prince George's County's deficit?
Thank you for reading the question once again. I do support, and I did support the county executive's, the former county executive's decision to do what she did regarding our budget. For the last 6 years as a leader of Prince George's County and a leader on the Prince George's County Council, we have looked at the issues impacting our great county, and when our county executive decided that this was the best approach, or most effective approach, we as a council leadership supported her because we understood what was at stake. With the projected deficit that we're dealing with is something that for the last 6 years our county has dealt with. And ladies and gentlemen, please know, by law, we have to balance the budget. So we will have a balanced budget by the time we go through everything. I've been involved for the last 30 years in Prince George's County, making this county better, and I will continue to do it. Public safety, public education, and how we expand economic development in Prince George's County are the three things that you're voting for. That's what's on the ballot. And if you vote for Calvin Hawkins, you'll have someone who have consistently worked to make Prince George's County better. And what I want to share with you all, when you talk about our budget and where we are, we have the right individuals in place in our county, because 62% by mandate has to go to the public school system. So we're not touching that. We're just looking at how we move our county forward and how we stay out of the red. This is what it's been about. We've had a phenomenal leader over the last 6 years in Angela Alsop-Brooks. She's gone. Now somebody else has to fill that void. Someone who's worked with her for the last 6 years, someone who has gotten her endorsement is standing before you. I'm Calvin Hawkins, and I'm looking for your support as we move Prince George's County forward. Thank you.
While I'm grateful for the very complete and thorough introduction, what they didn't tell you was I served under the Obama administration during the Great Recession. And during that time, I served on a team of financial regulators who had to figure out ways to help us stop the Great Recession from becoming a depression at a time when our government saw investment banks falling on Wall Street. The big three manufacturers were crumbling. Our insurance companies were crumbling. We had to take drastic steps. So yes, freezing our employment base is always a good thing. You never want to grow your government when you're losing money. Cutting the budget doesn't mean you cut the necessities. It means you cut discretionary spending. We buy what we need to get through the lean times. The rainy day fund, I always love borrowing from myself. But this is the problem. We've done that already last year. Now we got to start paying ourselves back. And we cannot borrow from Peter to pay Paul. So let's forget about that AAA credit bond rating. We got to raise revenue. And we start raising revenue by using one of the key tools we have that we've never used, tourism. We have to give people a reason to come see us and spend their money with us. We also have to diversify, yes, our commercial revenue by attracting other industries in here that will put more of us to work. And by putting more of us to work in gainful employment, our income revenue, our income tax revenue will increase. And I'm not talking about increasing your taxes. I'm talking about the county getting back the portion of your taxes that you pay to the state.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's not great always going last because everybody takes your answers and some really good ones. But my name is Alonzo Washington. I serve as a state senator here in Prince George's County, and I have the honor of serving District 22. But before this, I was a delegate for over 10 years, so about a decade long, where I served in the House of Delegates. For me, my parents, my mom, I was raised by a single mother here in Prince George's County, raised in poverty, lived in homeless shelters. And for me, being a graduate university around the first of my family to do so, it was an honor of a lifetime. And then going off and working at the Redevelopment Authority, where I helped make sure that we had the Super Redevelopment Project, or even the Glen Arden project there as well. For us, it is about growing our tax base here in Prince George's County, but even more so, it's about the fiscal responsibility here in Prince George's County. The reason we are where we are with this $171 million deficit is because we've been overspending here in our county. If you look at Montgomery County, and I've done some research on this, they do not have the same structural deficit because they've been responsible with their spending. I don't agree with us making sure, I don't agree with us overspending. I don't agree with us capping those 800 jobs because we need those. We need those because we make sure that places like DPI, our police department, our public safety officials, they can still hire more people that need to be on the ground here. I believe we need to do so much more here in our communities where we can't stand idly by and freeze these jobs. There's so much more we can do, and I got a plan for it, and I look forward to sharing that with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
staying with the budget, but first I would like to remind our audience if we can please hold your applause until all candidates have had an opportunity to weigh in. Mr. Slocum, would you like to answer that question, please? And welcome.
Could you repeat the question?
The question is, earlier this year, former county executive Angela Alter-Brooks proposed freezing more than 800 county positions, cutting agency budgets, and drawing down rainy day funds to fix a projected $170 million budget shortfall for the 2025 fiscal year. Do you agree with the proposal, and if not, how do you propose closing Prince George's County's deficit?
Do I agree? What I don't agree, to answer the question, is having a deficit. And first of all, I want to thank you all for being here and showing up. My name is Albert Slocum. I'm running for county executive. And I basically had a conflicting schedule earlier. So a servant's job is never done. My bonus daughter actually had a cheerleading competition. There were other things going on as well. So trying to be in multiple places at one time. And that's what a leader does. So I'm a man of God, and I'm originally from Bridgeport, Connecticut, but been here in Prince George's County for over 25 years. And I've been in various areas of the industries as far as development, HRD, finance, budgeting, and getting back to this question here, those inner works help as far as balancing the budget, and I know how to do that. Now, with respect to what we can do to solve that issue, because what's done is done. I'm not going to be here to point fingers or anything like that, but each and every one of you have a place. Prince George's County is the place to be, and each and every one of you have a part here. Now, I understand that there are job insecurities, there are issues as far as businesses not being sustainable, and even our homes. People are struggling as far as putting food on the table. But I want to be able to solve that issue as far as the deficit by creating opportunities. And those opportunities are supporting our small businesses, our local businesses, by helping them, getting them the funds, and then from an HRD standpoint, offer those services so that where you can thrive. And then from our community standpoint, instead of the jobs going outside of the county, we have large corporations footing the bill so that way we can hire more of you here in the county, and then your monies are recycled, and the continuation of the recycle of those funds actually help the impact of our deficit, and we can generate revenue better that way. I'm Albert Slocum, County Executive.
Coming back to you, Senator Washington, and staying with the general theme of the budget, the deficit comes at a time the county could lose the commanders to DC, lose the planned FBI headquarters, lose federal funding, and all while federal workers are losing their jobs. How would you help the county navigate these losses?
Thank you for that question. I'll take the latter one first. When I walk through these doors of Ebenezer, and I want to thank Ebenezer Church and NAACP for having us, I met a gentleman who came in who he said he works for USAID. Well, he said he used to work for USAID, but his faith brought him to the point where he said, God has me moving forward, and I can't count on humans to do that. God has me moving forward. And for me, I have a significant plan to make sure that we defend Prince George's County against the Trump administration. First, let's take the FBI, which is going to move to my district. If there's any course of action they take that they say they're going to withdraw from Prince George's County, I'm going to ask our office of law here in Prince George's County, as well as our attorney general here in Maryland, to sue the federal government, because we rightfully won that FBI here in Prince George's County. We rightfully did. I'm going to defend our federal workers, of which we have the highest concentration of black federal workers here in Prince George's County. We're going to have a task force that's going to be an advocacy task force that's going to be able to work on their behalf to make sure they can have their jobs. In fact, also, the Department of Labor here in Maryland has already been ready to make sure they can accept these folks if they do lose their jobs, to be able to help them and make sure that they're able to sustain themselves here in Prince George's County and throughout the state of Maryland. I plan to work with our federal partners, not only here in Prince George's County, but in Montgomery County and Northern Virginia and DC, because we all rely on the federal government. We all do. And we cannot allow this this Trump administration to attack Prince George's County. Now let me talk about the commanders. Our federal officials and the governor has let us down, unfortunately.
When they said, when they laid down the red carpet for them to go to RFK and said that you can have this land, that was their open opportunity to bring DC to the table. And now we have less of a chance to keep the commanders here. Thank you very much.
Senator Washington, did you want to finish your thought? Or?
Thank you for that. And we have less of a chance to keep the commanders here. Under my leadership, I'll make sure that the whole Atlanta Mall has, and where we're going to have the Prince George's County Hospital Center in Cheverly, we don't have that at the commander site. We're going to plan accordingly moving forward and have a plan to make sure we replace the commander site too.
Mrs. Sweat.
I love this question. So let's start with federal jobs. That is very unfortunate. And I trust the labor organizations, the unions, will continue to fight the president to keep those jobs. In the meantime, we have some vacancies here in the county we need to fill. And so I welcome my sisters and brothers from the federal government home. While we might be freezing jobs at 800, there's some holes in that 800 that I need to fill. I need you. We need you in our classrooms. We got a shortage of teachers and bus drivers. Please come home and give us your service. The FBI is gone. I'm just going to tell you, straight and plain-faced it. Straight talk, no chaser. He killed it the last time. He already said it's going to Alabama this time. Why do we want it, though? Over 1/3 of Prince George's County's land mass right now belongs to the federal government, yet we have a deficit. Why is that? The federal government does not pay real estate taxes. Never have, never will. And the little bit of a pittance of appropriations they give us for having federal campuses in our county doesn't cover the bill. Let them go. We don't need them here building new houses, buying new houses, because for every dollar they give us in real estate taxes, we pay 3. Infrastructure, education, and social services. We're still at a deficit. So let's take that land and give it to an industry that's going to bring jobs to our community. The commanders. This is my song, and I'm going to keep singing it. I'm the only one. I'm fighting for them. They're here until 2027. We need them to build and spark tourism. Let's take the land in Landover that is now vacant, build a sports and entertainment center around them to attract people to stay here over the weekend when they come to see a game. That's an avenue to bring revenue to our county. And I tell you what, I don't think they want to deal with the home rule issue when the federal government takes it back. The NFL doesn't want Mr. President in their business, so they'll stay here for me.
As the only one sitting up here that for the last 5 months, along with the Office of the County Executive, that's been engaged with the commanders about where we go from here, the only one that have worked with the governor's office to talk about how we keep the commanders, and we are working very hard to keep the commanders, not just keep them, but to ensure there's economic development, a commitment from the owners of the commanders for economic development for the community that has been promised that for so long in the Landover area. When we talk about the commanders, yes, your local government has been involved with the governor to say to the District of Columbia, we are not giving up on keeping the commanders here. The funds and the amount of money that the governor and the state has put aside to be competitive with the District of Columbia, I believe that we have a great opportunity to keep the commanders here. When you speak about the FBI, it wasn't just about bringing the FBI to Senator Washington's district. It was about building the infrastructure around it. IT jobs, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's AI, that's what the FBI was bringing to that community, those kind of jobs and those kind of opportunities. When we speak about the federal workers and federal contractors, we have a meeting set up Sunday, tomorrow, a virtual meeting with Senator Alsa Brooks and Federal Progress. But anyway, it's the organization that knows the most about how to address this issue. Our Office of Law is already involved in talking about what we can do for federal workers, what we can do for federal contracts. We're just not talking about what we're going to do. We're doing it right now because that's what responsible leadership is all about.
Mr. Cruz?
I've been saying this as well. I would like to keep the commanders here. But I want to point something out. The Nat Stadium. How many people have been to the Nat Stadium? Do you see that ecosystem around that stadium? Do you see retail, stores, shops? You see how they build? Now look at the Commander Stadium. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not economic development. That's just putting a stadium there and then building Woodmore somewhere over here and other, things around it. That's not building the way we need to build. I'm a business owner. Put me around the stadium. Put others around it. We have the largest registered small businesses here. If you want to rev up, as everyone is saying, all the elected officials, then put the plan in place. That's why I'm in this race, because I'm tired of hearing about it. It's time for one of us to jump in and do something about it. I'm in technology innovation, and I'm tired of hearing that we're going to innovate or we're innovating. When you build an urban community, there's condos on the top, there's stores on the bottom. That's how I would have built Woodmore. Do you see how Woodmore is built? Now, I'm not jumping on our past stuff. What I'm saying is I'm talking towards the future. This election is more than just the 17 and 18 months. This is about the future and where we're going. I need your help. Thank you.
State's Attorney Barry Boyd.
Thank you. This assault on our federal workers, it's personal to me. I started my career as an employee of the federal government, and it's personal to Prince George's County. You know, Prince George's County, in so many ways, the wealth that we brought here, the new homes and communities were really built because of the relationship that Prince Georgians had with the federal government and with the district government. Many of those employees, now over 30,000 of them, live here in Prince George's County, and most of them are property owners, so they have an investment here. So they cannot fail. They need to know that their local government has their backs. How can we assist them? Well, I have some ideas, and these ideas I've shared with workers, and that is why the Metropolitan Washington Labor Council endorsed me. That's why those who represent the interests of federal workers want to work with me as the next county executive. First, what we need to do is work currently with our state legislature that is working on developing an incentive fund or a fund for federal workers who might be in crisis. That's number one, and I will be working and supporting that bill in Annapolis. We also have to look at repositioning our federal workers. Some of them will absolutely be impacted by the downsizing of federal government. And so we have to reposition employee Prince George's to be more aggressive and working with these federal workers to bring them into state and local government, as well as helping some of them retool and retrain to enter the private sector. We also have to open up business opportunities for the businesses here in Prince George's County. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to apologize in advance. I have to go to a funeral, so I'm leaving after this question. But before I came here this morning, somebody shot me a text and said, "Why are you always talking about the past and what you did?" And I thought about that, And because it matters. Because if you don't understand the past, you'll make mistakes. There is an entertainment district in Prince George's County. It's called MGM, National Harbor, Tanger Outlook. It's areas around that we're growing that weren't there in 2010. If you look at around the stadium right now, we were talking about keeping the Commanders. I know about that. I fought Mayor Gray to keep them here when he tried it the first time. But the way that we do it is you actually build around. Yes, Woodmore Town Center. Yes, the development in Glen Arden. Yes, downtown Largo. That's why we put a hospital in Largo Metro Station. Why did we do that? So you build the ecosystem around it. That's why there's a metro there. That's why we're building the Purple Line. You want apartments on the top and on the bottom? Go to New Carrollton and tell me if it looked like that in 2010. You understand all these because that's how you move forward. The FBI is not just a freaking building. It is the largest development project that the United States is going to do. It will change this county the way the Pentagon changed Northern Virginia. It's not about that building. It is about everything you can do around it. But if you don't understand the past, you will make mistakes. The reason the public safeties have endorsed me is I understand if we're not safe here, if you don't have enough police officers, enough firefighters, enough state's attorneys, no one is going to come here. I've been to Wall Street. I've answered their questions. I've kept the AAA bond rating. Why? Because I understand what is needed to keep this county moving forward. That's why the past is important. That's why what you understand, and you go in now with 18 months, that's what you have. You don't have 4 years, you have 18 months to get this crisis right, and you need the right person. Thank you.
I believe the question is what we're going to do with the federal employees based on the current climate, the presidential climate, right?
That was part of the question.
Would you like me to read the
Yes,
entire
read
question?
it again.
This deficit comes at a time the county could lose the commanders to DC, lose the planned FBI headquarters, lose federal funding, and all while federal workers are losing their jobs. How would you help the county navigate these losses?
Okay. Just a temperature check in here because I need to really understand who I am talking to. I don't want to just throw out stuff and then it doesn't apply to you. But how many people work for the FBI in any shape or form? Show of hands. Okay. How many people work for the federal government? Just show of hands. Okay. Now, how many people, and you don't have to raise your hand, but how many people are not gainfully employed and are struggling and are trying to put food on the table and take care of your children due to a lack of child care, affordable child care? Don't raise your hand, but you know who I'm talking about, right? Okay. You all, the FBI, employees, personnel, people working for the federal government, and people working here in Prince George's County. As your next county executive with an extensive background in business, because this role here requires someone to have that kind of background and education, I'm going to be able to realistically help you. There's no hoopla up here. There's no we can possibly do certain things. I will definitely be able to help you. Okay, first of all, training and development is key for those who need to redevelop your skills. We're gonna help you with that. Prioritizing as far as how our funds are gonna work for the county. Okay, we're gonna pour into like social services, we're gonna pour into like job training, and we're gonna help the local small businesses get back on their feet. For everyone else, the reality is that whether we keep the FBI here or, you know, they're gone. I for one, I want to make sure that you have job security. We need to be economically strong, so this way here, Prince George's can thrive. Now, there's a lot to say as far as with respect to this here, and I can talk all day on it and delve right into it, but, you know, we need reality check here as far as who's going to be helping you and supporting your needs and helping your families. Albert Slocum, County Executive.
Thank you, sir. We're going to switch topics now to the topic of education. Governor Moore's new proposed budget cuts deep into state funding and funding for the blueprint for Maryland's future, which calls for increases in public education spending. Critics fear the cuts put the blueprint's future in grave danger. Do you support the governor's pauses and delays on portions of the blueprint in order to help with the deficit?
Could you repeat the question?
Governor Moore's proposed budget cuts, the budget itself cuts deep into state funding and funding for the blueprint for Maryland's future, which calls for increases in public education spending. Critics fear the cuts put the blueprint's future in grave danger. Do you support the governor's pauses and delays on portions of the blueprint in order to help with the deficit?
Okay. The blueprint as far as education is a pretty large scale. A lot of money, monies are being allocated to that there. So I will work with the governor, Governor Wes Moore. I don't agree with taking away those resources, the monies that we need for our educational purposes and the big picture. Previously, we had a forum where we talked about the blueprint of education, and a lot of the money's gone towards construction. And I've specifically made it clear that's a component of the blueprint, but there are so many aspects of it. Now, we're here in Prince George's County, our budget is $2.9 billion for Board of Education. And that's a whole lot of money, and we're still underperforming. So the reality is that the monies are not being properly allocated. And I believe that's what's going on at the state level as well. And I'm not in Governor Moore's mind. I wish I had a conversation with him. I'm going to be real with you all. I don't know what it is exactly, his underlying reason behind it. But from a business standpoint, he does have a background in in the financial industry, and so do I. And we understand money, we understand budgets. That I'm sure that I'll support what he's doing in the sense as long as it's not hurting our educational system. But at the same time, we have to find ways to generate revenue. And again, going back from an economic development standpoint and our workforce development, we have to find ways to put monies in your pockets and in your households. We have to find ways, creative ways for the county from a proprietary standpoint to generate revenue so that way we can increase our income base. And we have to bring in larger corporations to foot the bill from an education standpoint. And Wes Moore, no one's mentioning this, but Governor Wes Moore is doing that as far as bringing commercial corporation, large corporation, Russell 1000, Fortune 500 companies, so that they can foot the bill and we can reallocate the funds back into the school system. And that's what I would do here at Prince George's County as your next county executive. Thank you.
State's Attorney Brayboy, what the governor is proposing is pausing and delaying portions and instead implementing the blueprint in stages to take the pressure off the budget. So is that a good idea or not?
So that's a very important question because we all value and support public education. In fact, I'm a product of Prince George's County Public Schools. When the governor came into office, the blueprint had already been passed. It was unwise for the legislature to pass such a massive bill that would require both state and local investment without passing a revenue package to meet the needs of what was being proposed. We all have ideas of what we would like even in our lives. The question is, can we pay for it? The thing that we don't have, which the state has, is the ability to identify new revenue streams, grow new industries, to pay for what it wants to spend money on. That did not happen in this case, which is why both now the state and Prince George's County and other localities are dealing with budget deficits. So I think it is wise for the governor to look at how do we fund portions of this very important project, which I 100% agree with the goals, but how do we pay for it when we also have to pay for things like services for our seniors, we have to pay for roads, we have to pay for public safety, we have to pay for social services and health care. The county government and the state government has a large mandate beyond public education. We spend here over 62% of our budget on public education, which is wise because this is our workforce of the future. So it is wise to spend. But we also have other priorities like cleaning up our streets, like making sure we have reliable trash pickup and snow removal. And so the government has to make choices, and I think the governor is doing the right thing. Thank you.
Priorities. Education is the highest priority of any community. It's what brings people there, and it's what will make people leave. Currently in Prince George's County, we are ranked number 23. Not my ranking. There's only 24 counties. So what does that say to you? That means that we are going to have to fund education. Now, we're going to fund education, but we have to make it a point to make our education system the best. Why? Because we want to grow, right? So I just met with the teachers union, and I laid out my plan that has pieces and parts of the blueprint. It is time, and I'll say this again, that STEM needs to just be standard. Financial literacy just needs to be standard. And it's time that we allow, starting at 6th grade, apprenticeships and certifications. Now, I actually have a plan that would bring in more revenue between private partnerships into our education system. We can bring in all of our businesses, which they are ready, to help with apprenticeships. Imagine this. By the time little Johnny or Shelley reaches 9th grade, they have several certifications and experience. They start working full time. They are now professionals. By the time they graduate, it's more than just a diploma. They now are professionals with several certifications. Our education becomes number one, and we can do this pretty fast. Thank you.
I support Governor Moore's decision to push a hold on the blueprint for education, because here in Prince George's County, 62% of our budget goes to education. This opportunity, and to the Senator Washington, that's a great idea, the blueprint for education. But it's kind of interesting when you're at the federal, state level, you create programs for the local level, but there's no revenue generated source to pay for it. Prince George's County and Baltimore City needs what the blueprint for education provides, but we also need the funding to take care of it. We don't have that. So when the governor made his decision, one of the biggest problems you all need to understand when we talk about the projected deficit we're facing, a part of it is the blueprint for education. We already are paying 62% out of our budget. And some say we're not doing great things in our public school system. Well, let me tell you this. Over the last 6 years, we've built 14 brand new schools, have given our educator resources and professional training required to continue to educate and inspire our scholars. Yes, we are out of 23 counties in one city, 24 public school systems. We're down at the bottom, but I ask each and every one of you to go back home today and research for yourself. We're moving up. We started at the bottom and we're moving to the top. It's not by accident. It's commitment to our public education and to our young scholars that we are going to give them the opportunity to have the kind of world-class education that will prepare them for their future. Thank you very much.
No, I don't agree with the governor's cuts or the pause. Let me just start right there. I'm a proud PGCPS parent. My son is a graduate, science and tech, Oxon Hill, 2020. He went to college, got a degree in December, now he's an assistant football coach in Ohio. My baby girl sitting right over here is a 7th grader honor student at Akakik Academy. I'm fighting for them. I'm fighting for you, Omari. No, we cannot put a pause on the blueprint. And yes, we did put a revenue package together because you all voted to make Governor Hogan put the casino money in a lockbox for education. That money left a surplus. When Governor Moore came in office, there was a surplus. How did we get into a $3 billion deficit in 2 years? So now you want to punish my babies? I think not. I'm tired of education being the first thing to get cut when our politicians don't know how to manage our government. Now, yes, we are 24. Baltimore City makes us 24 educational jurisdictions, and Prince George's County has been number 24 for a long time. We bounced up to 23 a couple years ago, but now we're back at the bottom, according to the latest State Department report card. We are going to have to get creative and radical to change our public education system to educate our children, because the federal government's talking about cutting the dollars that goes into that 62%. Now the state's threatening to cut the dollars. So we have to do something to build our revenue right here in Prince George's County so we can educate our children from age 3 to 18 and beyond. And we got to go back and get some. They didn't fall through the cracks, but we sure as hell left them behind.
Let me just first by saying to the question, no, absolutely not. We cannot put a pause on the blueprint for Maryland's future at all. Now, Governor Moore is one of my frat brothers, but I disagree with him vehemently on this. As the architect and the person that sat on the Blueprint for Maryland's Future Kerwin Commission for over 4 years and developed the policies and the funding sources for the blueprint, I vehemently oppose all these budget cuts. And let me tell you what State's Attorney Brayboy and what Mr. Hawkins says. They want to agree with the governor on cutting. They want to cut $300 million for low-income, high-poverty, concentration of poverty schools. That's 200 schools here in Prince George's County are community schools. They want to cut that. They want to put that on pause. They also want to cut money for special needs students. That's what the governor is proposing to cut. We talk about workforce development here in the county, that we need more people. We have 6,000 IT job openings here in Prince George's County, and our school system doesn't do enough with preparing them for the next future of this industry. What State Attorney Brayboy and Calvin Hawkins just said is they want to cut career coaches that are in every high school in Prince George's County. Let me just say this also. The Blueprint for Maryland's Future does not build schools. It does not. What it does is work on instructional activity for our students. We have 5 pillars. I'm sure you guys already know. We instituted in there also for our students, this is one of my ideas, to make sure there's a baseline of teachers to make $60,000 a year coming out of college. They want to put a hold on that. We cannot do that. We need those dollars here in Prince George's County. Lastly, I would say, Mr. Hawkins also said that he helped create 14 new schools. No. That came from the state authorizing the county to have public-private partnerships so that we can build new schools here in the county. That's something I and my partners worked on in the state of Maryland to get done for our schools here in Prince George's County. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidates. Staying with education generally, we want to begin with Councilman Hawkins, and then Mr. Cruz, and then Ms. Sweat, and State Attorney Brayboy, Senator Washington, and then Mr. Slocum. There's a growing need for mental health services as school threats made by students and suspensions have increased. What's your plan to deal with youngsters who commit serious crimes or exhibit troubling and aggressive behaviors? You have 1 minute for this question.
My colleagues, the county council had to vote to ensure that we could do the public-private partnership. So those 14 schools I spoke about, yes, I was involved as a council member because the local government had to vote on it. And I wasn't talking about taking any money. I was saying they have a 62% budget that comes from our local budget. Those matters that he referenced, our state senator, that's my good friend, but we can take it out of that 62% of our budget. We have other things to worry about when it comes to Prince George's County and this looming deficit. I support any measures to ensure we have mental health responses or anything that will help our students, our educators, our staff. I support all of that.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz?
We currently have, children in need services. They allow the kid I believe it's 8 weeks, and provide wraparound services. But like Hawkins said, I support all services. I am currently in schools right now. And I just want to speak about this for 1 second. I've been in schools and I've seen problem kids turn around. Once we introduced a second pathway in the education system, once we introduced entrepreneurship and them being able to get apprenticeships and certifications, I've seen kids turn around. I know a young lady right now on honor roll because she was introduced something different. Our kids learn differently. And it's time for us to realize that and get at it. Thank you.
Mrs. Sweat?
We got to take wraparound services out of the schools. We're putting too much on our educators. We want them to teach. We want them to nurture. We want them to give mental health. We want them to feed them. We want them to clothe them. At some point, we got to stop. We got to stop. Our problem-solving courts are there to help us with this problem. Our Department of Family and Social Services are there to help us with these problems. And for children with mental health issues, we need to go home with them. The schools don't go home with our babies. But our social workers have the authority under law to go home to find out what it is that our children really need to help them with their mental health issues and to support their parents as they help their babies get through their mental health issues. We've got to stop operating in silos. I'm going to bring the teamwork back to Prince George's County. Our teachers will refer our children to family services and social services, and those social workers are going to go in home and work with the families to help our babies be successful.
Thank you. State's Attorney Braveboy?
Thank you. And just to address spending, I think it's important for us to always be honest and transparent. The county is facing a structural deficit. The state is $3 billion in the hole. Yes, we want to pay for the blueprint, but the reality is, if you're paying for one thing at the expense of everything else, that's a problem. Government is about balance. It is about setting priorities, and it is also about figuring out how to pay for it. So I don't want to take away money that would fund additional support for our schools, but I also have to realize that I go to senior centers and there are struggling seniors who can't pay their utility bills. I need to have support for them too. There are people around this community that are saying trash is everywhere and it's a blight in our community. We got to pick up the trash too. So you have to be transparent and honest about what we can actually spend here in the county. Thank you.
Senator Washington?
The question was about suspensions, right?
Yes, I can read the question again if you
Sure, go ahead. Just to make sure everybody knows we're on the same page. Go ahead.
There's a growing need for mental health services as school threats made by students and suspensions have increased. What's your plan to deal with young folks who commit serious crimes or exhibit troubling and aggressive behaviors?
Now, I led the state in dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline because it's a real thing. where we over-suspend our students and send them off back into our communities, and they end up in your homes or breaking and entering into cars. Under my leadership, we've placed into our schools around the county and around the state restorative practices and restorative justice policies so that students who are nonviolent offenders can stay in their schools and learn from their mistakes. There were some things that were said earlier today that I want to just clarify about teachers being involved in wraparound services. We can't take those wraparound services out of the schools. That's where our students are. That's where they are. That's where they need to be. What we created under the Blueprint for Maryland's Future was that those teachers won't have to be involved in those resources. We created a community schools coordinator who coordinates all the wraparound services. We pay for that at the state. You pay for it. Additionally, we made sure there was a behavioral health specialist at all of our community schools. That's paid for by you through state dollars. Those resources are there for our students, and they should stay there if we continue to invest in public education like we should. And we can do two things at once. We can pay for to help our seniors, and we can pay for a public school system too.
Thank you, Senator Washington. Mr. Slocum?
We need to get to the root cause. Everyone in here either has children or grandchildren or bonus children, okay? We need to get to the root cause. And I mean that seriously. We can't be locking up children. There are laws out there that basically put children at the age of 12 in juvenile facilities. We cannot do that because these children here, they're going to be the next future leaders. And if they're criminals, and we could have stopped that, then we're going to have more criminal politicians running our county, and we cannot afford that. I don't know about where you all fall with the situation as far as schools and the schools really not being engaged with the students. But a lot of these students here, when they get behind those walls there, the truancy rates are high. Therefore, they get into all kinds of trouble and they get suspended. So suspension levels are high. We need to have programs, reinvest the blueprint of the educational system into these programs that work and that are effective so that our children have the love and the need and the resources so they can do better. We have fraternities and sororities out here, okay? We have organization, nonprofit, not-for-profit. What do we really stand for? We're not trying to hurt our children. They are going to be our future, whether we like it or not. And we all going to need to stick together and make this count for the county. I'm Albert Slocum for County Executive. I hope that you all understand the importance of how our school systems actually work. Thank you.
Thank you. On the subject of public safety, while violent crime, including homicides, carjackings, and robberies, fell last year, assaults and shoplifting increased dramatically. Many of these crimes are being committed by students, by teens. This year in Annapolis, Senator Ron Watson sponsored an organized retail theft crime bill, SB 11. The bill allows multiple thefts by the same person committed across different counties under the same scheme or ongoing conduct to be prosecuted in any county where any of those thefts occurred. And the bill explicitly targets any series of thefts of property valued at more than $1,500 taken over a 90-day period. This bill allows the courts to determine if these kinds of thefts qualify as organized crime, punishable by up to 5 years, a $5,000 fine, or both. Do you agree with this bill or the intention of the bill? Senator Washington.
Thank you for the question. You know, it's not, Senator Watson and I are good friends and we work together, but we disagree on a lot of things in Annapolis. But this bill I agree with him on ensuring that we have tougher penalties for folks that have retail theft. And so we actually recently voted on that bill unanimously. 47 senators unanimously voted for it in the Senate. It's now going to the House of Delegates, where it's failed 2 times in the House of Delegates. I would urge my colleagues in the House of Delegates to make sure that we get that done, because I've walked into, took a tour of Home Depot, and they show me all the new cages that they have up for the small things. You go into CVS, I mean, they're locking up soap and baby powder and things of that nature. I mean, we got to deter those types of things, and we got to be tougher on these folks. But what I disagree on, the part of the question is the increase in juvenile crime. Last year there was a lot of talk about how juvenile crime has increased, or it's a majority of the crime that's taking place. The statistics show that it's about 10% or less of the majority of the crimes that occur from young people. It's adults that we need to focus on to make sure we're putting them make sure we hold them accountable for the thefts and the burglaries, and even encouraging these young minds to commit crimes on their behalf. We have to have tough sentences for them and hold them accountable. It's not always about the young people. We got to find ways to reform our our Juvenile Justice Center as well, because they are pre-releasing too many of these young people that commit crime over and over again. I've passed legislation and supported legislation to hold them accountable and to hold partly some of their parents accountable. But some of these kids do not have an adult. It's called a minor with need of supervision. Some of these kids don't have a place to go, and we need opportunities for them. And so I have a plan for that, and I will look forward to sharing that with you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sweat?
You guys have great questions. Yes, I support the senator's bill. I have to admit I agree, though, with Senator Washington. It's not the children. Our children are being used by adults who are encouraging delinquency because there are needs in the county that we need to address. So we've got to strengthen social services. But what I want y'all to know that we have a juvenile justice center right here in the county, out in Cheltenham. We only have 15 children from Prince George's County in that center. So what does that mean? The children who are committing the crimes are not going to jail. They're not being punished. They don't understand the consequences of their actions. And I'm not saying lock them up and throw away the key. What I'm saying is they have to suffer consequences. Because our children need to understand that there's always a consequence for every choice and every action you make in your life, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. And then after they suffer those consequences, we've got to make sure we educate them. That's why I say take wraparound services out of the schools. Because where were the schools when they were out there committing the crimes for them grown folk who was pushing them to steal stuff out the store? Where were the schools? Where were the teachers? We got to get them into family services and social services so we can help our parents understand why it's important that they have supervision at all times. We got to build our families because our families are struggling. And then we got to strengthen our community centers. We got a lot of park and rec centers around here. They close at 5, 6, 7 o'clock. Open them doors back up. So we have before and after care for our kids so they have constructive activities to participate in. And they're not out here on the streets. They're not prey to these criminal adults who pushing them to do illegal things because these criminal minds know our babies are not going to be locked up.
Could you repeat the question?
The question is whether you support Senator Ron Watson's bill that allows multiple thefts committed by the same person or groups across different counties to be prosecuted in any county where the thefts took place. The bill targets any series of thefts of property valued at more than $1,500 taken over a period of 90 days. He suggests that these crimes be categorized as organized theft, which would carry a stiffer penalty.
Thank you for repeating the question. As the County Council Chair of the General Assembly Committee, we recently, I believe 2 weeks ago, discussed the very bill, and we voted unanimously to support it. My position for supporting the bill was it gives the judge, the presiding judge, discretion, because someone could be doing it and may not be involved in organized crime. The judge has the authority to determine that. I want to be very clear. I'm tough on crime, but I'm as equally tough on the root causes of crime. And until we start in Prince George's County in this state addressing the root causes of crime, we're going to continue to have to address the crimes that we're talking about even today. So thank you for this opportunity.
Mr. Cruz?
I support the sentiments of the bill, so I support the bill. But again, I come at this a little different. 75% of all inmates dropped out of school. That's across America. In the state of Maryland, it's higher than 75%. The year before last, 8.5% dropped out of school. Last year, we had over 9% to drop out of school. We've been going up. And then we're wondering why there's carjackings and why there's somebody knocking you over the head for your keys. It's not a surgeon. It's someone who dropped out of school. Then I'm a youth leader. Young people are not outside just playing anymore. It's not what they do. This is what they do. This is what they do. They're on social media. They're playing games. So when I hear rec centers and all of that stuff, it can't just be a rec center. It's got to be an education center where they learn that I can utilize maybe my coding for this or how I play games for this. I'm talking about the future of where things are going, where technology is taking us. AI, that has not been mentioned here, but that is on the table. That's why I said it's more than just 18 months. It's where our economy is going. It is time for us to engage our kids where they are, get that smart mind, and channel it towards the industries that they can make a difference. That's how we get them off the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Braithwaite.
Thank you. You know, last year I worked with Senator C. Anthony Muse to expand the organized crime statute in Maryland. And we're seeing really positive results as it relates to crime because many of the carjackings and thefts that we were seeing were organized crime. And so that is why we also supported last year and this year and testified in Annapolis, my office did, on behalf of our Senator Ron Washington. It was just a very smart bill. And I'm proud to have the support of our senator because he understands that when we work together to strengthen laws at the state level, I have more power and authority here at the local level. And let me tell you what some of the changes in state law has produced here in Prince George's County. We know that last year crime was down over 10%. This year alone, we are down 50% in homicides. We're down 38% in sex offenses, 52% in violent crime, including a 59% decrease in carjackings, and that's on top of the nearly 40% decrease we had last year. 27% decrease in assaults, 21% decrease in domestic violence, 21% decrease in larceny and burglary, and a 40% decrease in stolen cars. So what we know is that when we have the laws in place to be effective, we can bring down crime. When it came to our juveniles, state attorneys across the state of Maryland said, look, we need changes because it is tough to hold juveniles accountable. The Department of Juvenile Services must be a closer partner to us. Guess what? I worked with Governor Moore and the leadership in the House and Senate to get it done. So we are making great progress here in Prince George's County, and I look forward to continuing this journey. Thank you.
I know that we're all afraid. I know we're concerned, and the crime rate is going up. There's no question about that, especially with our juvenile. They're in the wrong places, they're being exploited, and it affects all of us. All right, the $1,500 juvenile reform from the Juvenile Reform Act, I don't know if there's a magical number or not. I mean, we definitely need accountability as far as our children, but we need to get to the root cause, as I stated earlier. If we don't, and these children ages 10 or 12, they go to juvenile reform. And then as they get older, they're in jail and in prison. It doesn't help our economy out, and they become better criminals. So rather than having all this legislation and not really understanding where we're going with it, we're going to need strong leadership that's objective. And I get it. All right, we all want to resolve crime. Crime is on the up and up. But it's not going to happen by locking up our young people. And even if it's by public demand to lock up young people, I am not for that. I am not completely for the bill. I was actually at the town hall meeting last year at Bowie State University where Senator Watson was speaking of this here. He is a fraternity brother of mine, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. You know, we can agree to disagree and disagree to agree, okay? But at the end of the day, we gotta do what's right, and what's right is right. And at this point here, we need to help our children out. We cannot be putting them in precarious situations where they become worse. Now, we have a lot of percentage, data, statistical analysis stating how well we're doing, but if we're doing all that great, then why do we have the same problems going on day in and day out? It's just not the solution. So we definitely need to get to the root cause. And as your next county executive, I'm gonna be working with you all, inviting you to the table so that we can put our heads together, because obviously no one up here has the solution, because if they did, we wouldn't be having this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Staying with public safety, beginning with State's Attorney Braveboy and then Mr. Slocum, Councilmember Hawkins and Mr. Cruz, Senator Washington, and then Mrs. Sweat. According to the Prince George's County Fraternal Order of Police, the police department is operating at approximately 400 officers beneath its authorized strength. How would you propose increasing manpower and stabilizing the retention of police officers and career firefighters, all under the backdrop of our budget problems, with other jurisdictions vying for the same pool of candidates? And just to add some color to the magnitude of what we're dealing with in Prince George's County, the starting salary of Prince George's County Police is $62,000. Montgomery County is $66,000. In DC, it's also $66,000, and then jumps to $72,000 after the first year, or after the first 18 months. In Anne Arundel County, it's $70,000, and in Charles County, it's $68,000. Madam State's Attorney.
Thank you so much. So I have a little experience, in fact, a lot of experience dealing with a public safety agency that was underpaid. When I first started as State's Attorney back in December of 2018, my starting salary for my baby attorneys, $57,000 a year. After a couple of years of trying to struggle to figure out how we keep people in the office, I said, you know what? I'm gonna raise their starting salary to 80, because that's competitive in this marketplace. And over the last couple of years, I've worked with the administration to develop a salary schedule. We went out, my agency went out and did our own market analysis. We presented it to the county. The county said, well, we have to do ours. And I said, please go right ahead. And they agreed with us on where we needed to be competitively. We are now one of the highest paid state's attorney's offices in this region. I have been able to recruit, retain, and reclaim attorneys who left to go to other places to make a few more dollars. In fact, I've gotten some back from the federal government. So I know how to get this done. Thank you.
Mr. Slocum.
With a human resource development background, I understand as far as what it means to pay well with compensation and benefits. It's not just about the salary, it's about the whole entire package to make us competitive. But let's be clear on this here. Our police, our public safety are not getting paid well. And we need more of those incentives to give them the higher incentive to do better out there and out on the streets. Because their morale is not up here, obviously, it's kind of dwindling. And compared to Montgomery County, even Fairfax County, we got Anne Arundel County, we're not that competitive. Give and take, hit or miss, a few $1,000s, but at the end of the day, we need better compensation and benefits. Also, we need incentives, like bonuses, so when they do solve crimes, we pay them. Okay, we can find the means of the monies in other ways by prioritizing how that budget that we talked about, the blueprint, and put it in the areas where it matters to help keep our families and our communities safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slocum. Councilmember Hawkins.
Thank you for the question. Prince George's County Police Department and Fire Department are at a very interesting time. They just went through collective bargaining where they agreed with the contracts that were presented to them. As the next county executive, one of the things I will immediately do is create an incentive on how we pay our firefighters and police officers. In the District of Columbia, they have what they call a $1,000, $2,000 increase just for signing up. We need to be competitive in Prince George's County and do the same thing. The current the current county executive and I are looking, along with other council members, on ways that we can bring our firefighters and our public safety officials up to par with the region, considering the budget the District of Columbia have, as well as Montgomery and Fairfax. So we're working on it.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz.
Yes, I also believe that we need to be competitive, especially with our first responders. They're the first one on the scene. They take care of us. And so I've always supported us being competitive across the board. That's why I'm in this race. But how we get there, I believe it is time for growth. It is time for us to start growing because our economy has been retracting. It is time for us to start growing out. And a lot of our businesses, I come from the business sector, we want to grow. We just need that workforce that we've been looking for. And we want to partner with education to get it done. And I think as we do that, a lot of our services we'll be able to pay for. I believe that we'll be able to help the seniors a lot more. It is time for growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Washington.
Thank you. You know, I might not have the endorsement of Angela Alsor-Brooks, but she sure did appoint me as the chair of the Police Reform Work Group in 2020 when we went through all the nonsense that was occurring in this country. And I was able to audit the police department and see where those dollars were being spent. And what I found out in that 6-month period of reviewing the police department's budget is that we have about 150 police officers that make a high amount of money that they're in civilian positions, whereas they should be community policing our neighborhoods. Under my leadership as county executive, I would transfer those 150 police officers in civilian positions into the community policing so we can drive down crime in areas like Forest Heights, in areas like Landover, in areas like Langley Park, because it might be overall crime has decreased in Prince George's County, but in those areas, crime is up significantly. And they need more community policing officers in those communities. And so we're not going to be competitive with a place like DC that has over a $20 billion budget, or Montgomery County has a larger budget than us. We're not going to do that. We have to be smart about how we implement government here in Prince George's County. I'm the leader to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Sweat.
Budgetary constraints aside, we raise the revenue, we can raise the pay. That's job one. But what I want you all to understand is that 70% of our public safety officials, our police and firefighters, don't live in the county. That's another example of our failure to educate our own. Nobody can police us better than we can. So we have to educate our young people and prepare them to serve in public safety so they'll want to work in our county and serve us. It ain't just about locking people up. Protect and serve. Our firefighters right now are going through a difficult time because we also have volunteer firefighters. And for some reason, our career firefighters don't want to serve with the volunteers. We got 930 volunteers in this county right now who want to augment our firefighters. But that union contract wants to pay the career people a lot of overtime when we got people wanting to serve for free. We have to do better about taking care of us and allowing us to take care of us. That's the starter. And then we can talk about the pay later.
Thank you, Mrs. Sweat.
Thank you so much. Transitioning to county services, the county did a much better job of clearing neighborhood streets after this week's snow. We all agreed. But residents complain that they deserve better services in Prince George's County, better trash service. They want that litter picked up on roads and highways that some say make Prince George's look like a third world country. How would you address this, considering budgetary constraints, the current budgetary constraints? Senator Washington.
Great question. So we do have budgetary constraints right now in Prince George's County, but when it comes to litter and cleanup and things of this nature, I said it at Collington community area recently that it starts with us. Keeping our communities clean, keeping our communities safe, it really starts with us as people, as citizens of Prince George's County, to do it on ourselves, on our behalf, in our own neighborhoods. But it also is 311, where we know that 311 does not work for us. The app, it's insane. I've used it before. I put the picture in. I did everything I was supposed to do. My wife even checked behind me, made sure I did it right. And 2 weeks later, they said it was done. It wasn't done. And I did it again, but then 2 weeks later, it wasn't done. Then I had to call the county executive's office, and the next week, it was done. You pay too much in taxes. DPI is not working for you. Neither is 311. Under my leadership, they will work, and you'll be able to count on them. Thank you.
Ms. Sweat.
It comes back to the money, unfortunately. Part of the problem with county services that most of us are not aware of is the fact that the county right now has $2.9 billion in debt from municipal bonds. That's where a great portion of our real estate taxes are going. The education money, most of it comes from the federal appropriation and the state appropriation. But our real estate taxes are going to pay those bonds, because bonds are loans from Wall Street. That's why I tell y'all to forget that AAA credit rating, because we don't need to borrow no more money. If we stop borrowing money, we'd have the money to provide the services to our community. And our county doesn't tell us about all the bonds that we have. Our public-private partnership, there was no private investment. The county borrowed all the money to build those 14 schools. That's impacting our services. We can't get two-a-day trash pickup because we're paying the money to Wall Street. We got to cut down the county's debt so, again, we can get back to taking care of us.
Councilmember Hawkins.
Thank you for the question. One thing I've been looking at as a council member is how do we redeploy our resources from our Department of Public Works and our Department of Environment. But after this last snow, or the one in January, one thing that came out, we're not using our students who need community service hours. We were talking, and we have some conversations going on with our school system. How do we set up a program with these young people in their neighborhood? We identify the seniors and individuals who have inabilities that can't clean up or plow their own snow, have an opportunity to have these young people come and do it. It gives them a sense of responsibility. And one of the last things along those lines is we can get them more engaged in cleaning up our communities. And as they do that, they'll become even more responsible as adults.
Mr. Cruz.
I like a lot of the answers that were stated. I'm a problem solver, so I don't dwell on the issue. Youth, let's get out there, and we can get creative on how we clean up. But I just want to kind of go back here. The county executive is where the buck stops. That's how I see the job. And when we talk about our streets, I move on from our streets to our stores. Have you gone into some of the stores that are in our county? I mean, it's just incredible. Boxes everywhere, ripped up floors. It just makes us look bad. And it's just not those stores. It's the type. I live in a neighborhood, and the closest thing that I have to a grocery store is a a gas station that sells chicken. My point here is, it is time for the county executive to help move our development better and to actually help with these services. We could think through these a lot sooner. I'm just tired. I don't know about you, I'm just tired. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we are all tired of trash, right? So I know I am. And so I actually thought of a very creative way to address the trash issue while utilizing local county-based businesses. You know, I thought about a 311 system that would almost be like a trash on demand cleanup system, where when you see large amounts of debris, litter, when you see overgrown hedges and trees that haven't been trimmed properly, whether it's on state or county roads, let us know. And we can send and deploy county-based businesses that can then address those issues immediately. I think once we start setting a tone and an example, then we'll see people behave differently. When you see trash, sometimes people say, well, I can throw out trash too, but when those roads are clean and pristine, they're not going to do it. So I think we can utilize our small county-based businesses and give you what you need, which is trash on demand cleanup. Thank you.
I, like you, have been in your shoes. And because you all complained, you all called, you all went on social networks, social media, you made a difference. Because if you had not done that, we would have had issues again this term around. And we're a county, we're a state, we're a region, mid-Atlantic area where snow removal, trash trash pickup, those things are not new to us. So we need to continue sticking together and working together to hold our county accountable. Now, as your next county executive, from a management standpoint, it's very important that we make sure that these agencies do what they're supposed to do, because it's mismanaged. That's the issue. That's why we're having these issues. The leadership does not know how to manage. And we need a county executive, a leader, to do just that and work with you all. So as county executive, I commit to doing that for you all. Albert Slocum.
Thank you, candidates. Senator Washington mentioned taxes, so let's talk about taxes. Mr. Slocum, we've been working our way down. Better county services sometimes mean higher taxes. Do you plan to raise taxes to help fund better services and offset the county's budget deficit? If not, how would you deliver better county services without raising taxes, considering that property taxes, for example, are one of the primary sources of county revenue?
Thank you for that question. My background is in finance, and I've had the exposure in corporate America for over 30 years in accounting, budgeting, marketing, management, and my leadership style is just this. I do not want to raise taxes on anyone in here. And see my expression here? I will not raise taxes. That is my commitment. I will fight to not raise taxes. Now, from a tax standpoint, I mean, obviously it comes from the higher ups. But as county executive, we do have some influence, and I will not support that. Now, how do we spearhead not raising taxes on you all? All right, real simple. Number one, we need a larger commercial tax base. How do we do that? We bring in larger corporations to foot the bill. It's that simple. The challenge is getting the large corporations here. And as the past leadership, they've had a hard time bringing large corporations because they are not from corporate America. Now, we need someone with those relationships. I'm that person. I have corporate America experience. I've been with those companies on Wall Street. I actually visited Wall Street last year towards the end, talking to multi-trillion-dollar companies. And here's the problem. They don't want to come here because they feel like they don't have the support of you all because of the politics, as usual. But if we fight together and band together, that can change. And I can convince more corporations to come here to foot the bill. So that's number one, commercial tax base. Number two is we need a 70-30% ratio. 70% on the commercial side, 30% on the residential side. Okay, this way is more money in your pocket. Number three, for your seniors, I want to have where it's tax exemption for seniors or legendary legacies, as well as those that are retiring. More importantly, I want to be able to put more money in your pocket, and we can do this based on generating revenue from our innovative ways as far as AI, technology, and our local small businesses. I'm Albert Slocum, County Executive. Thank you.
Madam Attorney?
Yes. So we cannot and we will not raise property taxes here in Prince George's County. That is the surefire way to actually continue to lose population. So it does not make sense for us to continue to put the burden on our property tax owners. You know, large corporations are great, but really the engine of any community is really the small business community. The county has not done a good job, historically, of providing real contracting opportunities to businesses in Prince George's County. And what I say is that it is good business to do business with the people of Prince George's County. The reason why I say that is not just because they live here, it's because they pay taxes here. And when you expand a business and that business grows, that business is paying more in business tax. That business is hiring more employees, so we're getting the benefits of the employment tax and of the income tax that's generated because now we have more good paying jobs here. So we spend billions every year in county procurement as well as construction projects that we're investing in, but what we don't demand is equity. We don't even include our businesses in our own procurement. We have to choose Prince George's based businesses first. When we do that, we're actually giving ourselves a boost because that the trickle-down effect of spending with the businesses here will actually grow our tax base. That's something that we can do today. That's something I'm committed to doing. We also have to develop around our metro stations. We have the most undeveloped metro stations in this region. That is an area where we can actually build smartly and have commercial development and bring people from the outside here to spend their tax dollars here too. Thank you.
No, no new taxes. We pay enough. And we're not seeing where that money, what it's getting us. We spend over $2 billion in education. 2.9. Brave Boy is right. It is time for growth. Our businesses are hungry. They're starving. They want to be put to work. Why? Because they want to grow. A CEO, well, you know, I used to, early on, I said, I'm not going to call myself a CEO until I have a couple shops. Because a CEO is not in there doing the work themselves. But if you want to become a true CEO, you're going to need workers. And you're going to be able to duplicate that same operation a few times. And in our county, we have that ability to do that. Contracting. Contracting is one of the toughest things for a small business to get into. It is. I got into it. But we can offer that a lot more. And development. I talked about earlier about that ecosystem around the Nat stadiums because that's how we should be building here in this county. That's how you put a lot of our businesses closer to the people they want to sell to. Flower shops, hairdressers. We have a lot of businesses here, and we are not using them as our superpower, which they are. I've been banging this drum ever since I've gotten into this, and I'm happy now that my colleagues, we're all one about this. So whomever win, we're all together, and I'll come and work with whomever. It is time for growth. Thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Hawkins?
So I was waiting for the question.
Sure, certainly. Better, this is the topic of taxes. Better county services sometimes mean higher taxes. Do you plan to raise taxes to help fund services, to help fund better services, and offset the county's budget deficit? If not, how would you deliver better services without raising taxes, considering that property taxes, for example, are one of our primary sources of revenue?
Yes, our property taxes in Prince George's County is 70% of our revenue, and 30% comes from our commercial tax base. The question is, would you raise taxes? My friends, I'm a part of a county council that had to raise your telecommunication tax, which is your cell phone, 3 cents in order for us to pay for the senior tax credit. So just real talk, I wanted to get that out there. But as far as your property tax reformative initiative for Maryland, TRIM, you cannot raise property taxes in Prince George's County. But as long as we continue to build on the Blue Line, the Bowie Mark Station, what we're doing over at the old Shelbyville Hospital, this is our way of building up our commercial tax base so that we can not only give you the services you require, but ensure that you have the services you need. It's important to understand in Prince George's County, through my leadership when I was chair, we did the rezoning rewrite. Since 1973, we had not dealt with our zoning laws in Prince George's County. As a result, Mrs. Brave-Boy, to support what you were saying, we can now build around our metro stations. We have 14 metro stations in Prince George's County. We are committed to transit development around those metro stations, and as your next county executive, I will continue that approach to building our county. But more importantly, as I sit down, what's important when it comes to resources, working with our county agencies and the leadership in there to understand what the challenges are, why some of these services are not getting accomplished, and doing like what Montgomery County does, have on, make it transparent. How many issues are you resolving daily and weekly? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. This is Mrs. Sweat.
Mr. Hawkins is correct. The Taxpayer Relief in Maryland Act was voted in by the voters here in Prince George's County. And I want you to know it's the only county in the state of Maryland that has TRIM. So we have no flexibility in the tax rate. What I want you to take a look at is your assessment statements, because the state been playing with the value of your homes now for a few years. And we need to have a talk with our folks at the state level on how to assess the value of our homes, because that affects how much we pay. Along with that, the other thing I will do, because as your county executive, I need to make sure that the money's there to cover the services that you're expecting to have. So let's go back to talk about how we build the revenue. Keeping the commanders. It's not just about Woodmore Town Center. That old Landover Mall lot is empty, it's vacant. So let's build some new restaurants, some stores, some sports bars, yes, I'm gonna say it, some sports bars and lounges, some nice hotels. The county already has the authority to impose a 1% sales tax on hotels. So I'm gonna ask the county council to enact that, add that 1% for our tourists who come see us and sleep here with us. We also get 10% sales tax on every ticket sold in Northwest Stadium. And that's not just the football season. They do Little League events there. Beyonce had her concert there. Every one of those tickets, there was 10% sales tax that comes to the county. That's why we need to keep the commanders. That's our money. And the more they have in that stadium, the more revenue we make. So we can lighten the load on our homeowners. Not only that, yes, we need to recruit new industry. And we don't do that by going to a convention in Las Vegas. I need to go to these big businesses and tell them, I need you to come set up shop with me. I need to make Prince George's an inviting place for our industries to come so they can build here and give us more jobs.
Thank you. Legislative Senator Washington.
Thank you for the question. Just a few things here. One, no, I will not raise taxes. I just told you that, raising taxes is just not an option for our seniors, for anyone here that owns a home. We shouldn't be raising taxes at all. But let me just correct something that Mr. Hawkins said earlier. He said that we can't raise property taxes here in Prince George's County. Well, what did Rashawn Baker do in 2015 when he asked for us to increase taxes for 4% here in the county, where you see that line item of that 4% on your property tax bill? That shouldn't happen. We shouldn't be increasing taxes here in Prince George's County on the backs of homeowners. And yes, I see it myself because my bill is very high. Under my leadership as county executive, I wouldn't raise taxes because I would modernize government. For so many times, we keep on doing the same things over and over again in these different departments. Ask me when DPW&G changed their operations, or when DPOD changed its operations, or when Park and Planning, which is another entity that can raise your property taxes too, without you knowing as well. When have we modernized government, what that looks like? Additionally, what I'll do second is ask our county council to repeal some of the programming that they increased our budget on. Mr. Hawkins just spoke to it. He admitted that they increased taxes to pay for that senior tax credit. By the way, is not working. The current county executive said that piece of legislation is not working because it wasn't thoroughly vetted. Under my leadership, I'll make sure we draw back some of these programs and consolidate programs so our seniors, our young people have opportunities to thrive here in Prince George's County. We can't keep doing the same things over and over again. We can't keep electing the same people over and over again and expecting a different result. You know what that is. And we can't afford it in this time because our bill that we need to pay right now is $171 million, and it won't be done on the backs of our seniors and our people here in Prince George's County. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a shortage of housing in Prince George's, both available and affordable. What would your approach be to address that shortage while helping homeowners who are facing predatory and biased lending practices that cheat people out of their homes, undervalue their homes, and rob them of equity and the ability to create wealth? And how would you better hold developers accountable so they can't continue to build homes with no additional roads or infrastructure to accommodate the additional traffic and children and needs for parks and rec and everything else? Ms. Sweat.
Y'all asking all my favorite questions today. I love this. Shortage of housing. We're building a lot of new homes and townhomes. They're multi-level, single-family homes. Now, for our seniors and our disabled, that's difficult. They can't climb stairs anymore. What we need to do is revitalize the inventory of older homes we have in the county. We need to stop tearing them down. We need to stop the developers from knocking on your door, calling your house, asking you to sell. How do we do that? We'll apply for grants with private industry and with HUD, if they still exist, and give out community development block grants to renovate, revitalize older homes, one-level homes, so that we can keep those in the community. We also need to look at developer accountability. That $2.9 billion in debt I told you, a lot of that comes from building infrastructure because the county's borrowing the money to do that. The county council stopped charging impact fees on developers a long time ago. If you go to Charles County, they got new schools because they charged the developers impact fees to build those schools. They didn't take out bonds and assess the homeowners for that. We need to go back to impact fees and stop taking out all these bonds.
Mr. Hawkins.
Ron Hunter's not here, so Senator Washington, I believe you've taken his place, but I'm going to stick on the subject. The senior tax credit that I spoke of, the county exec supports because it was the original one that I endorsed. It's something that we were able to work through. It has passed. It passed, I believe she signed it sometime in January. So it's what you were saying, but it's the right one, and it has passed, and our seniors will get a senior tax credit for those who fall in that category. The question is about how we continue to deal with housing, and was it affordable housing? Anyway, in Prince George's County, it's all about relationships. Again, I refer to my leadership in creating the zoning atmosphere in Prince George's County, where we are concentrating on building around our metro stations so that we'll have the kind of density required in Prince George's County.
I believe this. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
How would you address the housing shortage in Prince George's, and how would you hold developers more accountable?
I like that part. Holding our developers more accountable is key here. I believe a lot of times we hand the keys over to the developers, they do their thing, and they're making their money. And we're left holding the bag. It is time for that to stop, and that is something the executive can do. The other part was affordability. I believe it's time to start building affordable housing. Not housing and apartments and townhomes and then set-asides. That's not affordable. I believe that there is a way for us to start building neighborhoods through our developers, that the homes are not as large. They're nice, they're high-end, technology, telehealth for our seniors. I believe that we can put those type of homes on the market. And I do have blueprints for that. My company does. The point I'm making here is, as I wrap this up, is it is time for us to develop better, and it's time for us to actually put affordable housing on the market. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely, we must hold developers accountable. You know, when I spoke with the residents over in Westphalia, they were promised a town center. And what they got was a residential community where the roads are half built. And so other homes can't be built until those roads go in. So there are other builders waiting to build. Some of them are leaving because the original builder did not complete the required road projects in that area. To me, that was not only a failure of that developer, but it's also a failure of the county. We also have to ensure that we're holding ourselves accountable for what the plans that are promised when we approve them at the county level. When it comes to impact fees, some developers will tell you, we're paying our impact fees, but we don't know where it goes, and the truth is they don't. Because the impact fees that are paid in then go into a general pot of money that may be paying for roads and other things in another part of the county. That's how it works. That's why Senator Ron Watson actually has a bill this year called transparency, I believe, in impact fees or something like that at the state level. This is not only a problem here in Prince George's County, but throughout the state of Maryland. So it is both a shared responsibility between the developers, builders, and the county to ensure that those fees are being used for the purposes that they were originally designed. Thank you.
You know how we hold developers accountable? We follow the money. We follow the money where the elected officials get their money. And that's how we hold developers accountable. You look at their financial reports. We can't hold developers accountable if we have elected officials in office that are supporting these type of developers. That's number one. Number two is, I have a background in real estate development, so I can advise from a county's perspective the right things to do by finding common sense developers to do common sense development. Now, there are nonprofit developers out there that are willing to take on the task. We just need to hire them. With that being said, they'll design, they'll create that community that we all can thrive in and make it affordable. Number three is that as your county executive, I'm going to be working with council to propose a bill so that we can't have these developers increase the construction costs that are charging you all high prices for your homes, your new homes, or even existing homes from a reconstruction standpoint. We need to stop this. This is foolishness. And as your next county executive, accountability, transparency, integrity, character, and ethics, and performance with real results will happen, and it has to happen now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's a really great question. Under my leadership, right now in Prince George's County, we have about a 30,000 unit shortfall of units we need to provide housing adequately here in the county. I know that for certain because I've been the architect, or actually the author, of different pieces of housing affordability reports here in the county, whether it was on a Purple Line or in the Langley Park area, or housing in general here in the county. When I worked for the county council, I created what is called the Housing Investment Trust Fund. For years, that went unfunded. It wasn't funded until Angela Alsobrooks became county executive, and we started funding it to the tune of $6 to $10 million every year. And so we have a new development that's happening right on the Blue Line corridor that use that Housing Investment Trust Fund dollars to bring more senior affordable housing right next to Addison Road Metro Station, which is really important. So we have to make sure that we continue to invest in affordable housing here in the county. When it comes to developers, right now we do have a school facility surcharge fee, and we have a public safety surcharge fee for every unit that is built here in Prince George's County. Unfortunately, that fee does not go to our general budget. It goes to paying down debt services of the debt we pay for these buildings that we build here in the county. And so when you go to vote in the voting booth and you say, okay, we want to build a library, we want to build a fire department, we want to build all those things, those bonds, that money, those facility surcharge fees go towards that. We need to change the way we're doing work here. We're incentivizing development here, and it's okay to say no to developers.
Thank you, Senator. Your time has expired.
Thank you. The clock wasn't working this time, brother.
We don't. Right now, we're going to take a few questions submitted by our audience. We'll toss it back over to Sheila for that part of the program.
Gosh, I'm in a bad position here. There were so many questions, and I hope a lot of them were answered. I know we don't have any more. I hope that a lot of them were answered by the questions that the moderators gave, but I have two I'm going to try and squeeze into one question. First, there's a perception that areas of Southern County, of South PG County, are given different levels of consideration than others. Can you address that? And also, what is your intention on dealing with the rights of diverse groups in this county in light of the DEI cutbacks? So I'll start here.
Thank you for your question.
1 minute each.
All right, don't start the clock. No, I'm just kidding. First of all, there are 9 districts within the county, and as your next county executive, I will treat everyone equally. Everyone will have fair share. And there's a thing that I pride myself on, which is called economic participation. And we haven't talked a lot about that here. And that's part of economic development. So with respect to everyone, whether it's Southern, Prince George's County, Central, or Northern, we are one family. We are one county. We are Prince George's, strong, and we're going to go to that level where we're number one from education to per capita income in our households. Now, there are 24 counties within the state of Maryland. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of being the laughing stock. And we need a change. We need a change in new leadership, and we need a change as far as knowing how to get things done the real way with real change. Albert Slocum, County Executive.
Okay, Ms. Alsobrooks. Brave boy.
So, Senator Muse and I talk about this a lot. Ed Burrows, who's the council member for South County, and I talk about this a lot. You know, South County is more than just National Harbor and Brandywine. And when you look at really the income base down here in South County, y'all are doing pretty well. And so my thought is, why aren't we directing more development down here, more commercial areas, more retail here? Because honestly, you all, we can justify it. When we go to ICSC, when we go and talk to major corporations, or when we are looking at developing and building small businesses right here in our county that can provide the restaurants, the clothing, the other retail that we need, South County is the place to be. So trust me, I will be South County's biggest cheerleader because I know the power that you have. And that's 1 minute, so I get another minute to talk about the residents, right?
No, it was,
I thought that 1 minute each?
just, no. It was, try and do it in 1 minute.
All right, well then I don't get a minute to talk
That was a
about it,
lot.
but I'll be happy to talk about it afterwards. Thank you.
For me, South County has the largest and the biggest potential. From a business standpoint, I believe that this is where we should be investing in. Having said that, I want to address DEI. I believe that was part of. DEI is about excellence. It's about bringing people together, having everyone at the table. This is something that my company is all about. And when that's when you assault that, just the idea, the concept of bringing other mindsets to the table, there's a problem. And we cannot allow that type of cancer to get into us and make us feel some type of way. So I think it's important now that we remember who we are and what we're about. Thank you.
The perception that there's nothing going on in South County or that they are slighted. I worked for the last 30 years, especially the last 6 years as a council member at large. I've not only worked in the Fort Washington area addressing issues like flooding and the challenge of getting down Fort Washington Road, even to working with the individuals in Accokeek and Fort Washington about the deadliest interstate in our state, Route 210. Going on over to Brandywine and dealing with how they receive opportunities as basically farms and how we help them over there. I will continue to show that kind of commitment as your next county executive. And when I leave here, I will ask Councilmember Burrows what are some of the initiatives going on and encourage him to get some information out, as well as Councilmember Harrison on what they're doing to support economic development in this area of our county.
As a resident of South County, District 9, down in Accokeek, I understand the perception. I spent a lot of my money in Charles County. So yeah, we need some attention down here. And I am dedicated and committed to bringing economic development in the form of nice restaurants. I hear you. I know y'all want sit-down restaurants here. We need new shopping centers in this area. It's not just about Clinton. We need all of the services that we can get, including the continued expansion of 210. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. All of that. I'm committed to that because I live down here. It's personal for me, okay? So I'm not going to placate that. Now, as far as DEI, that became a dog whistle for affirmative action. That's why they got rid of it. It's not just about race. It's about our Hispanic community. It's about our Caucasian community. It's about our disabled community. It's about including males and females in our local government. It's about all of us because we are not monolithic. Even in the African American community, we are diverse. So as far as I'm concerned, DEI is here in Prince George's County to stay forever because I have to serve all 947,430 of you, and you all look very much different from me.
You know, I think that the SART Public County does not receive the services that you need, and we need to make sure we prioritize this part of the county in so many different ways. All the pieces of legislation that I've introduced or proposed for the county has always supported the entire county and not just one portion of the county. I will ensure that as your next county executive, we focus on making sure we drive economic development here in South County. I grew up here in Prince George's County. Due to evictions, I went to 7 or 8 different elementary schools. Some of them were inside the Beltway, outside the Beltway, North County, and South County. So my family is really familiar with this area, and so am I, and I know what you're going through and the development that's needed and necessary. I voted on legislation to ensure 210 had more traffic cameras. I hope you're slowing down and not getting a ticket when that happens. The money that's coming from MGM, we made sure that money directly goes to a nonprofit to help with ensuring that the impact fees, we're helping that community as well, directly Forest Heights and Oxon Hill areas. So my vision for the county is to make sure we take care of the entire county holistically and not just one part of the county. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for your answers. I know that was a lot in 1 minute. I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Muse to do the closing out phase.
All right, thank you. It's time for the closing arguments. You each have 1 minute, and we'll begin with you, Senator Washington.
I want to thank the NAACP as well as Ebenezer Church here just for having us. It's been an amazing event. Look, we're going through, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us here in Prince George's County. Angela Alston-Brooks, went on to be our U.S. Senator, but this is a real great opportunity for us to transform our county. It's just not about these 2 years to fill her term. It's about the next 10 years, because the next person is going to be reelected and reelected again. And so we got to take our time to make sure we vet all of us to ensure we have a fighter. And that fighter is me. All my life, I've fought to make sure that Prince George's County is a better place. From growing up in homeless shelters, living in poverty, living in public housing, it was because of my mom and the fight that she had instilled that fight and hard work in me, in which I'm going to fight for you all here in the county. You deserve so much better than what you're getting for the tax dollars that you're paying, and I promise you, we'll be a better Prince George's County after this election. Thank you.
During my time in the federal government, when we were working on Dodd-Frank, we used Prince George's County as our case study. So I know the housing market, the economy, the diversity of this community extremely well. What I want to do, what I'm offering you is my experience, my knowledge, my background, my training from my time in the federal government to take us farther than where we have come. Half of us up here have been in government for 30 years or more in this state and in this community. Are you happy with what they've given you? If you're not happy with our education system, if you're not happy with the tax burden, if you're not happy with being underhoused, if you're not happy with the food insecurity that we continue to suffer with, if you're underemployed or unemployed, it's time to do something different. And I am that different thing. New, creative, out-of-the-box thinking to make Prince George's County the livable community that we all want and need it to be for now and forevermore. I'm Tanya Sweat, and I'm your best candidate for county executive.
Councilmember Hawkins.
Today you have heard so much about our county. We started off with Omari talking about, as a young man, what he believes and where our county should go. My friends, for the last 30 years, coming from Prince George's County community of Glass Manor in Oxon Hill, single parent, growing up here. I don't supposed to be up here with them if you let them tell it. But I tell you, today, public education is on the ballot. Today, public safety is on the ballot. Today, how we deal with economic development is on the ballot. My friends, we have federal workers and federal contractors not knowing how they're going to make it in our county. That's on the ballot. And I ask each and every one of you, after the rhetoric and after you leave here, look at Calvin Hawkins' record, and you will understand why Angela Alsa Brooks endorsed Calvin Hawkins. And I ask each and every one of you for your vote, because on the ballot is where we go from here. Thank you very much.
Marcellus Cruz. It is time for us to be laser focused on workforce and economic development. I'm going to paint a vision for you. Our sixth graders allowed to get certifications and apprenticeships. Small businesses of all types coming to K through 12 along for the ride for our adults as well, like we do for sports. We changed the paradigm. We're no longer having our kids and adults look for jobs. The businesses are looking for them and their talent. Urban and suburban living, we get a better mix. We develop better. We bring and keep the money here, great restaurants here. And finally, let's be known for something. Research. Science and research. We have bioscience right here in the county. And technology. We're booming in technology. Bowie State is known for technology. We have a quantum computer at the University of Maryland. It is time to start pipelining all of our businesses and nonprofits and education systems towards all of that. All I'm saying is it's time for new leadership and someone who understands where all of this is going and where this economy is going. Our young people deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the organizers, and also thank you to all of you who are here today or listening online. This is a very critical and important election, and it has been an honor and privilege to be at these forums with these amazing servants. And in fact, I believe everyone has good ideas, and I want to work with everyone who's up here. Not only that, I want to work with all of you. Prince George's needs a leader who can unify all of us. Now, I have worked in both the public and private sectors, and in all of the jobs I've had to deliver results. But those results weren't delivered by me solely. I understood how to work with a team to get the job done. And that's what you need in a county executive. That is why the Metropolitan Washington Labor Council, who represents the federal workers, who represents the local workers, who represents public and private sector workers, support me. That's why the Prince George's County Association of Realtors support me. That's why folks like Margaret White, who's a senior in our community who has worked hard all her life to build her community. That's why she's contributing what she can to my campaign. It's not about me, it's about what she sees in who I am, a unifier, someone who will listen to the community, who will listen to other electeds, but will also value the talent, the skill sets, and the passion and the drive of the people here in Prince George's County. I'm Aisha Brave Boy, candidate for county executive. Thank you.
As I stand here before you all, with transparency, accountability, and performance, with integrity, character, and ethics, I ask you all, what do you want? Are you sick and tired of being tired of the same old politics as usual? Are you sick and tired of getting the results from the politicians playing musical chairs from one seat to another? Are you sick and tired of hearing all the hype, but we're still in the same situation? Let me ask you this question. What has anyone, particularly the elected officials, done for you as far as putting money in your pocket, creating jobs, helping out with the school system, helping out with the snow removal, trash can, Board of Education, the budget, right? $171 million deficit. People, we got problems. All these signs out there, all these trucks showing people's faces on there. This is not a game. This is not a game. It's not a joke. All these shirts wearing people's different candidates' names on here, right? They're taking up half the seats in here.
1 minute.
I mean, it's really, really serious, okay? And at the end of the day, you're gonna have to decide. And I don't wanna be the one to say, hey, you know, we made that choice and now we gotta deal with it for 18 months. And then we're complaining all over again. We need change, real change. We need to put Prince George's first, which makes Prince George's strong. We need to help the seniors out as far as affordable living. We need the homeless to have a place of housing security. We need children to get involved in our communities so that they're adding value to our society instead of taking it away. We need to stop making all these excuses, okay? Now is the time. It's our time.
Thank you,
this is now. February 26th through March 4th is coming. And this is very serious, y'all. You're gonna have to make a decision. So for those of you all who are on the fence and have not decided, save the last, the best for last. Albert Slocum, County Executive.
Thank you so much. We want to thank all of you who have joined us for this debate here at Ebenezer AME and joined us online. And as a reminder, Prince George's County special election takes place on March 4th. That is also the deadline for mailing in your ballots. Early voting begins February 26th and continues through March 3rd.
We encourage everyone to use your voice, exercise your civic privilege, and remember to vote. I'm Clayton C.J. Jackson.
I'm Pat Lawson-Muse. Thanks again for being with us today. Take good care, stay safe, and we're going to turn it over now to President Thornton Thomas for final comments.
I'm Michelle Wiggins, First Vice President of the NAACP, Prince George's County Chapter. I want to take a moment to thank you all for being here today. Thank you to our candidates. Thank you to Ebenezer AME. I'm going to take a moment here to thank our partners. If they would come up and stand with me. We want to thank you for your support to help create an inclusive space where we can engage directly with the candidates, voice our concerns, and make informed decisions. By collaborating together, we are here ensuring whether it's residents, whether it's local organizations, civic groups, or diverse businesses, we are strengthening our reach and our effectiveness by ensuring that diversity, which is very important today, is represented in a meaningful dialogue. Their involvement demonstrates their commitment to civic engagement and accountability, fostering a well-informed electorate that can shape our county's future leadership. So today, I would like to call up top ladies of distinction, Prince George's County Chapter. If you are here, please come stand with me. 100 Black women, Prince George's County Chapter. Prince George's County Alumni Chapter of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, League of Women Voters, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated of Fort Washington, Prince George's County Municipal Association, and the Southern Christian Leadership. And then if you are with NAACP Prince George's County, please come stand with me as well. If any one of you want to say a few words. Okay. All right, I will call Linda Thornton Thomas, President of NAACP, and CJ. You want to, your presentation? Okay.
Yes, we're going to do that too. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Linda Thornton Thomas. I'm the president of the Prince George's County NAACP, and I would like to first hope that you consider becoming a member, which I know you will, right? We can raise our hands for that, or do I give a church stump, all right? Please don't forget me, us. We are excited to be here, happy to have you. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. It's been a little long, I know that, but it's worth it, don't you agree? Yeah, because like all of these wonderful people said up here, this could be a 9-year position. Am I not correct? It can be 9 years. You have to be careful. You have to be supportive. You have to research. You have to know your commitments, all right? Because you will make a decision coming up this March that's going to affect all of us. So all I'm saying is, please tell your neighbors to vote. Please get your family to vote. I just need you to come out. We complained today, and I'm telling you, lots and lots of things have happened in this county. I cannot stand the trash. I agree with everybody. And it's an issue. But if we don't get together and fight and complain together as a group, it's never going to change. We are good people, and we do good things. The problem is we complain, but we don't really come out and go up to our county council and all of the wonderful people. We just need to organize, as Alonzo said, all right, that we do need to do that in order for us to make the change. So I'm asking you, please don't forget to come out and complain. They don't want to hear it all the time, but it doesn't matter. Just come out. So thank you so much. Thank you, CJ and Pat Lawson Muse, for the good work that you guys have done for us. This takes a lot, you know. And for our wonderful partners here, trust me, nobody's getting paid. All of this is free. Amen. And so what we're saying is that the one thing we can do for these wonderful people who take the time and effort to answer your calls, to be there for you when you need them, is just to come out sometimes and sign a survey. Just send a letter to one of your elected officials. That's all we're asking. It's not a lot, is it? No. But we're praying that we will have a good turnout, because special elections are very small. So please make sure you come out. And if we have someone who would like to, one of our members, if you guys would like to say something quickly, just to let them know about your organization real quick here, and then we're going to thank y'all so much.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Tracy Bellamy. I am the co-chair of the NAACP for the Top Ladies of Distinction for Prince George's County. We're grateful to be here providing support. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lillian Kelly, and I'm here on behalf of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. This has been very informative, and we look forward to getting out to vote. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Angela Hutchins. I'm the president of the Prince George's County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I'd like to thank all of you for coming out, thank our candidates, and thank those who joined us virtually.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Josephine Morning. I'm the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Prince George's County Chapter. And this was a great forum. I want to thank everybody for coming out. And I want everyone to please go to the polls and vote and convince your neighbors to do the same. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Teresa Dudley, and I'm here with the Prince George's County League of Women Voters. Remember, democracy is not a spectator sport. Please vote.
You need me? Oh, okay.
Partners, we're going to ask you to stand over there so we can get a picture from with you. Okay, thank you.